Hello, my name's Tom Staunton and I blog at Running in the Forest, which is a careers blog. And today I'm going to be reviewing this book, which is called Off the Network by Ulises Ali Mejias. Off the Network is a book looking at some of the problems of social media and the network world. Mejias is, I would say he was a socialist. He's assuming that there are problems with capitalism, and he's particularly looking at the ways that social media and sort of the network world, how they exasperate some problems around capitalism. So he's he's critiquing it. I don't want to go into that in too much detail, but I do want to, as part of my review, or as really sort of picking up some ideas that I've learned from the book, I want to pick up on two of his ideas. Now, the first of these is he's looking at saying, okay, so social media, social networks, are they a good thing? And he's looking at how they particularly forward capitalism. Now, some people say social media, social networks, they combat capitalism. They give people the ability to connect, the ability to produce and exchange ideas without having to use money. It's sort of, the internet is like a counterpoint to capitalism. Now, Mejias really sort of combats that quite strongly, and he points out that all of the organisations that support the internet in terms of infrastructure, so organisations like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Google, Apple, Microsoft, Cisco, Samsung, if you care to mention, they're all profit-making organisations. So when you're engaging in social media, you're engaging in profit-making organisations. And he particularly talks about how social media, so thinking about things like Facebook and LinkedIn, how they make a profit out of you. He says they give you something for free, so being able to organise your social life, being able to share information. They convince you that everybody's doing it, so you're going to miss out if you're not going to be involved in it. And then once you're involved in it, once you're giving your free labour to the network, they sell that contact with you to advertisers and make money. So that's the model that Facebook use, the model that Google use. Lots of free, especially free organisations are working like that. Now, I'm a careers advisor, I'm working at university. Why is that a concern for me? Why am I thinking through that? Well, I think I'm thinking through that because increasingly I push people towards places like LinkedIn and Facebook. I say these are good places for you to use. And I often ignore the fact that I'm pushing people towards a situation where they're giving up their privacy so that somebody else can make a profit. I think it's got me thinking that often I don't really talk that through with students. Students aren't very aware of that when I'm promoting Twitter, which now that it's floating on the NASDAQ is a profit-making organisation to some extent. I don't point out that that's happening. So students may feel very differently about that, about selling their privacy in that way. And I'm giving them a tool and I'm not really explaining to them how it works so they can make informed decision about it. I just have my personal logic is you could use social media to advance your career. It would have benefit, therefore you should do it, irrespective of your personal views around things like capitalism, profit-making companies, how you feel about privacy. So that's really got me thinking. The other big thing that's got me thinking from the book is he talks about nodocentrism. Nodocentrism is the idea that nodes are the central way of thinking about social relationships. So he argues in the book that increasingly in modern society, the network imposes itself across all of our relationships. You take something outside of technology, our relationships, and it's pushed inside it. So we have increasingly, all of our lives are shaped by this idea of the network. And he picks up two ways that it's important, which I find really interesting and powerful. So he says, in a network, some nodes, they get more connections, and so get bigger, and some stay smaller. And he said, once you've started to get bigger, you become more visible, and it's easier to keep on getting bigger. So this clearly happens on places like LinkedIn and Twitter, which are fairly open. Once you started getting more followers and connections, it's easier to keep on getting more followers and connections. Now, what this has got me thinking is it's easy to assume that social media gives everybody the same sort of set of opportunities. You say about things like LinkedIn, you can go and connect with employers. You no longer have to be a certain type of person. LinkedIn just gives you the opportunity to go out there and make that connection if you can communicate well enough with that person. Now, I think that Mejias points out a problem with that, in that it isn't so much that social media is a free place where everybody has the same opportunity, but it's a place where you have to compete to be successful. Just like in any part of the modern world, is that competition is the main thing that drives career success. So I think I just realising that it's still competition, that's the dominant way that students relate to each other. I teach students to compete against other students. It's not that there are these free opportunities, free to all, that some will win, some will lose, and maybe particularly on social media, that some will win and some will lose. And so I need to recognise that, and if I feel uncomfortable with that, then I need to look for alternatives outside of social media, because this idea of the network is the main thing that social media is based on. The other thing that he points out is that if you're off the network, then you don't have any opportunity to engage with it at all, which may be an obvious thing, but he really pushes it to say that for a network, it just cannot understand things that are not part of it. So if you think about the London Underground, which is a network, it has no way of understanding Loughborough Station. So if you're not on LinkedIn, there is no way that you'll be able to take part in what's happening on LinkedIn, that it doesn't, social media doesn't recognise outsiders, it doesn't recognise foreigners. So if increasingly the internet, with its problems around privacy, its problems around big business, become the place that careers happen, people who have problems with it, who don't want to give up privacy, who are concerned about things like censorship, concerned about how governments may be able to access their details, or just sort of less technologically able, those people will just be entirely cut out. So I think it's got me thinking, do I really want the internet to be the place that a career increasingly happens? If careers work is going in that trajectory, if the job market is going in that direction, where internet is the place that career happens, is that actually a good thing? Could I and should I be preparing students to be engaging with alternatives to that? So yeah, those are my two little thoughts from Mejias' book, particularly around some of the problems around big business, and some of the problems around sort of nodocentrism that he highlights. And one of the main things that's got me thinking is, should we be uncritically saying that the internet and social media is good for people's careers? And I think I need to spend more time helping students understand how social media shapes their careers, about understanding about whether it is or isn't a good tool. He really encourages sort of engagement in the debate around the future of the internet and the future of social media, and I think I should be doing the same with my students, encouraging them to think through whether it really is as good as it says it is on the tin.